Hey guys, it's Bex here, and I'm back again with my good friend Grace Smith from GraceSmithTV.com. I made a video recently about my natural birth experience by accident because I was on my friend's podcast and he asked me a question about my own home birth experience with my last baby number 5, and I kind of flipped out in the video. I was like sweating and yelling and getting all excited. But we actually did an entire series of videos on hypnobirthing because you teach that as a hypnotherapist. Yes. And this is the follow-up. So we're going to get some real information because you're going to ask me real questions. Yes. And I'm not going to scream, I promise.
I don't know if that's a promise we can keep, but let's see. Okay, well, one of the reasons we want to do this follow-up is when we did our series, you were pregnant.
Yes.
And you had never done a hypnobirth before. Mm-mm. And so some of the things we had discussed, it was really hard for you to believe. You were really skeptical, didn't believe it at all. And I think it's really important for everyone here to understand what your experience was like, because every woman is different, and yet there are some congruencies. There are some themes of experience throughout hypnobirthing that you just can't believe until you have met a pregnant woman who was skeptical, who then had a hypnobirth and can talk about it. So the first thing I just want to ask you is, how did this birth, your 5th baby, compare to all of your other birthing experiences, since this one was a hypnobirth?
And I wanted to say that for people who don't know me, I've had 5 babies. I had 2 with epidurals, 1 natural in a hospital, 1 natural at home, and then the last one at home with the hypnosis experience. Yeah. How did it compare? Well, it was not scary. And I think that was the number one thing that was important, because removing the fear around the pain of labor, of contractions, of childbirth is the number one thing that's going to give you the good birth experience. Mm-hmm. I wasn't scared with the first 3, but I was also having the experience of being on drugs.
Right.
So that took away every sensation, not just pain. It was a complete disconnect from the birthing experience. Mm-hmm. And the 3rd that I had natural in the hospital, because it was so frantic and it wasn't natural by choice, it was because the drugs weren't working, that was very fast and I didn't have time to process anything. Mm-hmm. So I was, again, disconnected from the birth experience. My first home birth was great, but it was terrifying. Yeah. And I was in tremendous amount of pain, and I was crying and I was fearful, and I felt that I couldn't do it. I couldn't finish the birth. I wanted to go to the hospital. I was trying to bribe my husband. Mm-hmm. So by far, leaps and bounds, this last birth was more pleasurable. Mm-hmm. I was more connected. Mm-hmm. The recovery time was shorter. Mm-hmm. I was happier. I didn't suffer from postpartum depression at all, which I've experienced in the past. Mm-hmm. It was just better. It was just good versus not good. To sum it up.
And that's the whole premise of hypnobirthing, which is that typically the birthing experience in the modern age is one where there is this pain-fear cycle. Mm-hmm. You're afraid of having the child because everyone has been telling you horror stories, or perhaps you had a baby and it was extremely traumatic. Many people have had traumatic births and then they haven't done anything to help themselves process that or heal that, and so they're terrified about the next birthing experience, or they're even waiting to have children, or they don't have any more children because it was so terrifying. That fear causes you to clench up and puts you in fight or flight, about to run mode, which is not the open, receptive birthing position that a woman needs to be in. And when you're afraid and you're tight, then it is going to hurt more.
Right,
so
because your actual uterus and your cervix are not working with you to be able to have the baby.
And then when you feel the pain, you become more afraid, so you tighten up even more, and then it becomes even more difficult. With hypnosis, you are automatically relaxed. Therefore, the process itself, I want to talk about pain in just a second, that word pain. But because you're relaxed, you're not as afraid, or you're not afraid at all. And the birthing process is happening naturally, and you are opening up. Mm-hmm. So now, hypnobirthing does not promise a pain-free birth. That is not what it's promising. However, there have been women who have said, as a result of the hypnobirthing experience, I did not feel what I would call pain, I would call it pressure. Mm-hmm. So I want to know for you what that was like.
Something I did not share in the other video, but I think is so important to hear, is that I started my labor at 2 a.m. in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I went through the entire day laboring before I had my baby at 10:30 at night the next day. At 11 a.m. that morning, we went to go see my midwives, and I felt that my contractions had stalled, and I was really disappointed because I'm like, I thought I was having the baby today, but it's not going to happen. So they hooked me up to the monitor to check my contractions, and they asked me how I was feeling, and I said, I feel fine, but I'm really disappointed that it's not happening. And they showed me I was contracting very strongly during that entire time. And I felt nothing at all because I was so relaxed.
Yeah.
And I was just going with the contractions. I was walking, before we went there, we were walking around my farm, and I would feel one come on. I'd rock it out a little bit. I'm like, oh, I'm having a contraction. I had no idea that it was powerful enough to actually make my birth progress and get closer. So that was incredible. The difference between pain and pressure. With baby number 4, it was pain. It was scary. It was all the stuff that comes along with the word pain, like all those ideas of fear and those feelings of fear. With this one, it was an overwhelm, and not in a bad way. It was literally something overwhelming my entire body that I had no control over, and I was releasing all control. I was cool with that, and it was very intense, but not scary. I welcomed it. I knew that with every single one of these sensations, my baby was getting closer. So it was excitement. It was like, all right, this is cool. And I still yelled and screamed.
Yeah.
But my midwife said, Nick, she's had lots and lots of hypno babies at this point. But some women yell and scream. Some women are completely silent. And that has nothing to do with pain level. It's just your body's reaction. And I'm a yeller, like just in life. I'm like this. So I was like, and that was in service to me because it helped, push that baby down even faster. When she came, I didn't even know she was coming. She was out and on my belly, and I was like that quickly. It was very intense, and there was a ton of pressure, and I felt it, but I was connected to it, and I welcomed it, and it was exciting. It was ecstasy.
Yeah.
Not orgasmic.
Ecstasy. Right. Some people have had that. It's still a minority. I know you still don't believe it. That's baby number 6.
I have to see it.
This is a very typical experience in the sense that the mothers that I have worked with, that I have taught hypnobirthing and who have given me feedback, and then from the thousands of testimonials of hypnobirthing mothers, have just said, I was more connected to the experience than ever before. And it was the most intense thing I've ever been through in my life. And it was ecstasy.
Yeah.
And so this is not like you're sitting back, your feet are up, you're drinking a cup of tea and you're reading a book.
No, I was in it.
You're in it. And it's the most alive you probably ever feel. I mean, it's just...
Let me tell you though. So my 3-year-old, she's 3.5. I remember every bit of pain from that birth. I remember the fear. I can feel it in my chest. I had this baby 3 months ago. It'll be 3 months in a couple days, and nothing. I remember all the experiences that happened, but none of the sensations, none of the pain. And as soon as I did it, I'm like, well, maybe that day I was like, we're not doing this again. But I know I could do it again and again. But instead, I'm going to be a doula. I'm getting my doula certification. I'm going to do it with other women instead. Awesome. But it was magic, and I recommend it to everyone. I think that it's almost a necessity.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I offer this, even though I haven't had a baby myself yet. I actually view this as a human rights issue. The amount of women who suffer and go through pain, and I'm talking about first world women who are taking drugs that they don't know that they don't need to take because they're so afraid of the pain. The amount of women who are having C-sections who don't need to have the C-sections. And of course, if any of these things need to happen as medical precaution, good, 100%. We are so lucky that we're able to take care of your health and the health of your babies. But in a perfect world, if everything's going well, these things are not necessary. But then you move to the third world, where women are dying from fistulas and stillborn babies are just so preeminent. This doesn't need to happen.
Can I tell you something, though, if we're talking about interventions, is that the hypnobirthing process is not only for a natural home birth. It can help you through all the processes and the interventions that that come along with having a hospital birth or happen because they're medically necessary. It just relaxes you and prepares you for everything. And then in postpartum, just that part of recovery and being able to cope with the changes in your body and the anxiety that comes along with breastfeeding or whatever, or if your baby's not pooping enough. All of these things that you learn in the hypnobirthing process will help you to deal with all other anxieties in your life and rearing a child. Yeah, so it's like, it's not just if you want to have a natural birth or if you want to have a home birth.
Definitely.
Do it for the health of your pregnancy.
Yeah.
It helped me through pregnancy, listening to the affirmations and telling myself that this is the body that I'm supposed to have. It's doing what it's supposed to do. All of those things.
So powerful. And you might live in a place where home births or a birthing center are not an option, but you can still do the hypnobirthing.
Absolutely.
And I completely agree with you that no matter what option you choose to do, this is going to improve the situation drastically. And there's a couple different ways too. There's hypnobirthing live classes, which are things that I teach, but those are obviously limited to wherever you live. There needs to be
I don't have them in my area.
So you did Hypno Babies, which actually was created by a woman who first did hypnobirthing, and then she's made it accessible. So wherever you live in the world, you can get Hypno Babies right to your doorstep as a bunch of CDs or DVDs, or maybe it's even downloadable. And it's just so powerful. It's so beautiful. Every time I hear the stories, it's always positive, always positive, no matter what happens.
And I think coming from me, because I was so skeptical.
Yeah.
Because I teach meditation, but I'm by no means like a hippie or like weird or anything. I'm a little weird. And I've had multiple children, so I know the difference. And it wasn't so easy because I had a fifth baby, because my fourth baby wasn't easy, and you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Like I had already had 3 children, so you'd think the babies would just fall out of me, and they don't. It hurt really, really, really bad because I had that fear. It wasn't the natural process of my body doing what it was supposed to do. It was me getting in the way of that process that created this painful, horrific, scary birth. Very happy that I did it naturally. I would do it again and again, obviously, because I got pregnant again, but I'm so grateful for the hypnobirthing and what that did for me.
So one of the things that's become a cultural norm in the Western world, at least because that's the only thing I can really speak to, is these birthing horror stories. Women coming together and
I've
saying,
done it.
oh, I was in labor for 36 hours and da-da-da-da-da. And there will be people at their own baby showers who are being inundated with every woman there telling their birth horror stories. And it's simply because women... Well, it's true. First of all, they're not lying.
Right.
And second of all, it's a way of connecting. But if you think about hypnosis and all of the videos we've done together, when you tell a story, you're hypnotizing yourself.
Yes.
And so in hypnobirthing, we have all of our mamas wear pins, and there's different phrases, but the basic gist is, happy birth stories only, please. My baby is listening. Because we're trying to do everything we can to keep that pain cycle from happening. But rather to just welcome your baby into the world, be calm and relaxed, be there for the pressure and the intensity and the ecstasy. And so I want to really make a request that everyone here listening, even if you have been through something very challenging, and you may have, go to a women's group or go to a trauma relief center or do some hypnosis, but do not share your birthing horror stories with pregnant women. Share the beauty of it. And all of the positive aspects, because you want to hypnotize the mama to believe that that is what she can expect.
It is so powerful. It's the things that we tell ourselves. That's why I do meditations with affirmations. The things that we tell ourselves become true for us. So I did have fear surrounding the birth, and I was very honest with myself, but I made a promise that I wasn't going to share that with other women who were about to have a baby, and I wasn't going to allow that to take over my own thought process. So every time I had doubt, I would just use an affirmation, a positive affirmation, that my body's doing what it's supposed to do, everything is perfect in this moment, I'm safe, and my baby is safe, and I can't wait to see her.
That's great.
So it worked out perfectly because I believed that it would. And that's
all it is.
Yeah.
And of course you might have a grandma or someone come along who's not hip to the hypnobirthing scene, and she goes on and on about her process, and you can just know to just turn that off, and the minute you get away from there, start doing your hypno affirmation. So it's not like your birthing experience will be ruined because someone messed up and told you their horror story.
We should talk about that though, especially with doctors,
even
midwives who may not believe in this process.
And there's a lot. There's a lot. Of course, hypnobirthing is the natural way. It's the natural way that women gave birth thousands and thousands of years ago, when they squatted behind a tree, scooped up their baby, and ran away from the tiger. And they were able to do that very quickly. But in today's world, where C-section rates are so high, where drugs are protocol, where people are given drugs to make the birthing process happen faster right away, which causes greater pain, there are a lot of doctors and midwives who might not understand your choice, but it is your choice. And it's fine if they're not okay with it. You can still use hypnobirthing as your birth plan. some doctors and midwives, and especially doulas, are going to be wonderful. You give them, here is the language I would prefer for you to use.
Yes.
Here's the process that I prefer to have. And many of them will get on board. But for those who don't, this is your choice. This is your baby. This is your life. And even if they don't get on board, you can do hypnosis to override any of the fear-mongering that happens in many of today's hospitals.
I can tell you, first of all, yes, it is your choice. It is your birth. It is your birth experience. And I encourage women to shop around. You don't have to even use the same OB or the same midwife that you used before. I've done it before. I've switched in the middle of pregnancies. If that's not an option for you, you can override everything that you hear by just continuing to use the affirmations on yourself, use the hypnosis techniques that you've used. My midwife was so sweet. And she said, are there any words that you want us to use? Or is there anything that, because she was familiar with the process. And for me, I didn't need that.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Say whatever you have to say. Don't get tripped up. You guys do your thing and I'll do my thing in my head. So they still use words like contractions and breaking my water and pushing. Yeah. And it didn't affect me in the least because I was so into my process and so connected with my body and my baby, and I knew my mission that nothing was going to get in the way. And I also had an understanding and compassion for their process, knowing that maybe if they're changing up their routine, it might get in the way for them. Sure. So I was like, you do it. Yeah. We got this. And it didn't bother me in the least to hear it. But of course, everyone's different. I already had a practice. Yeah. So if you don't have a practice, you might need everyone to use the words.
And it makes sense because, when my clients are in hypnosis and a fire truck goes blaring by and I'm like, oh, they hear the fire truck, but they're staying in their process. They're staying in hypnosis. It still is wonderful. It doesn't do a thing. Similarly, when you're in hypnobirthing process, you are with your baby. So whether they're saying in hypnobirthing, we say you're breathing your baby down versus pushing, because pushing might make someone think that it would hurt or that it would be difficult. But ultimately, your midwife might say pushing, and you're so in the process, you just know you're breathing your baby down and it doesn't matter. And everybody is different, and you don't have to do what we say. Yeah. You don't have to do what your doctor says. It's your birth, and we just want you to know that you do have a choice.
Can we talk about after the baby comes?
Yes. So the best part. To share what's so beautiful about hypnobirthing babies too. Oftentimes, not all the time, oftentimes, the process of connection with the baby and nursing is just a lot smoother. What was your experience like?
If you have any fear surrounding breastfeeding at all, if you have experienced women around you who have said that they couldn't do it, or maybe you weren't nursed or have never witnessed it, this will absolutely help you with your breastfeeding practice. And I call it a practice because it's something that you have to learn to do. And I had to learn to do. With my first baby, I was lucky enough to be living with my mother's, and she nursed me until I was 3 years old. So she had a lot of experience, and my sisters as well. So she made me know that this was something that I could do, and that it was something that my body was made to do. And we connected, because the truth is under 5% of women actually can't do it because of a physical problem or a medical issue. So the vast majority of you can. Knowing yourself, knowing your body, understanding that your body is there for you and is working with you and not against you, will allow you to get through all of the hurdles that come along with breastfeeding. It is a process. The baby has to learn. You have to learn. With Annabelle, my little one now, she was nursing before I even delivered my placenta. That was amazing. She crawled up my belly. She did the whole thing, the wriggle, latched on, and it was done.
That, Google that.
Babies can crawl from birth. It's amazing. But I have had trouble in the past, and there's an anxiety that might crop up because you're thinking you're not making enough milk, your baby's not getting fed enough, and then all the other interventions, the bottles, the formula come in, and your doctor might recommend them to you too because they sense your fear. The knowing and the trusting allows you to get through this process. And that's another experience that I think is just not a throwaway is the nursing. It's the connection. So once you get off through the hard stuff, because the nipples hurt and they crack and all that stuff happens. Yeah. Once you get through that, it is the most beautiful, rewarding, and easy and convenient experience you'll ever have. So I love hypnobirthing for that. Just relieving the general anxiety of pregnancy, the birth day, and then also afterwards. It's like indispensable.
Oh, it's so inspiring to me. And Please, if any of you, since you probably watched our series, now it was months and months and months ago, some of you may have had your babies since then.
And we'll link that below if you haven't seen it. Yeah, definitely check for the links below for the
We'd love to
first
hear
series.
your stories, really. It's so inspiring. It's some of the most rewarding work I do within hypnosis, and I'm just so happy for you. I'm so happy that you've had this experience.
If you have any questions, because we could make 10 videos on this. I could talk about the birth experience all day long. So if you have any questions that we did not cover in this video, please leave them below. Definitely go visit Grace at gracesmithtv.com because she is a brilliant hypnotherapist and she can help you with all kinds of things, not just having a baby. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
I'm all amped up.
I know, me too.
Thanks for watching. I will see you soon in another BEXLIFE video. We're going to get a little bit serious for this video because we have been talking about the stress and anxiety and symptoms of pregnancy, but we have not talked about the things that happen before you're even pregnant that could get in the way of the process of having a healthy, happy birth.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've found through hypnobirthing is that when you're doing hypnosis with a client who's a little bit older now, you can regress them back to being into the womb, and they will remember their entire experience.